Hi, I'm John Baker, the International Advancement Director at Global University. It's my role to help inform pastors and churches about what Global University is doing around the country and across the world, and to help them to discover what GU can do for their churches and ministries. Global University is an educational missions agency of the Assemblies of God, with approximately 4 million students worldwide. We've been transforming lives through Spirit-empowered network of education and training across the U.S. and around the world since 2000. We are beginning a series of interviews with key leaders within Global University to help communicate what we are doing nationally and internationally and how we can serve congregations and students with our various schools. Today, I have the privilege to speak with Dr. Mario Duque, who serves as the Dean of Berean School of the Bible at Global University. With his family origins in Cuba and South Florida and more than 25 years of missionary experience, Mario has spent his life developing pastors and equipping leaders across cultures. He is passionate about helping people grow in their faith and to discover their calling in ministry. He holds a PhD in intercultural studies and a master's in Christian education. Dr. Duque and his wife, Michelle, have 2 daughters, and he enjoys good conversation, trying new foods, good coffee, and snorkeling when he gets a chance. Now, question 1, Mario, thanks for sitting down for this discussion. To begin with our conversation, can you briefly tell me about how you came to Global University?
Yes, John. First of all, thanks for inviting me to be on this podcast. I appreciate it. Well, as you mentioned, I have been a missionary, domestic or a Assemblies of God U.S. missionary for about 25 years. After a little over 15 years, we felt that God was changing our assignment from helping to plant churches to helping to develop more pastors for the United States and beyond. And a friend of mine connected me with Global University, thought that it might be a good fit because some of my practical background, and came into a position of helping connect our School for Ministry Development to more practical applications, and then became Director of Enrollment. And for a little over a year now, I've been the Dean of Berean School of the Bible.
Now, you come from a Latin heritage, a Spanish-speaking background. How many languages does Berean School of the Bible serve?
Well, in the United States, we serve English, Spanish, and French. Outside the U.S., there are several countries that have translated into their language as well. And we currently have about 3 to 5 additional languages that we're working to translate some or all of the Berean courses.
Now, tell us a little bit about the background of Berean. We are part of Global University, but has not always been that way. Can you tell us about the background of Berean and Global University?
Yes, in 1948, Frank Boyd was asked to lead up what was then called the Correspondence School. This was a way to provide ministry training for both credentialed clergy as well as lay workers who were not able to go off to one of the Bible colleges. Into the Correspondence School eventually became Berean School of the Bible, Berean College, went through a couple of different name changes until 2000. In 2000, what was then Berean College, an international correspondence institute that was overseas, they merged together to form Global University. The name Berean continues on as our adult continuing education level of Global University. We're kind of like, I like to say, we're kind of like the VOTEC of ministry training. And we provide courses to train, again, credentialed ministers as well as lay workers in the church at the adult continuing education level.
Well, that's wonderful. So how many students does Berean have approximately?
You know, that's kind of a difficult question to answer since we do not have set semesters, we cannot pick one date and say we have this many students today. It kind of changes. But in any given year, we will have over 10,000 students inside the U.S. and about another 3,000 students outside of the U.S.
So Berean is as all of the schools of Global University, we're distance learning. And so we don't typically have a start-stop date, right? So students can begin at their convenience and complete at their convenience. So it's hard, I guess, to really calculate how many students we have enrolled at any particular time.
Yes, it is. And again, we can look at a year-by-year comparison, and we can see what those numbers would be.
Now, how does Berean differ from the other schools of Global University?
So Global University consists of 5 schools. There's the School for Evangelism and Discipleship. That, as the name implies, it's evangelism and discipleship material. Very good discipleship material. Some of it is great training for lay ministers as well. Then there's Berean School of the Bible, which, as I mentioned, is adult continuing education. We're kind of like the Voltec, the practical. You can learn. You can take courses to meet the requirement for credentialing, but it's very practically based. Then we have our newest school, School for Ministry Development, that's kind of like we've taken Berean and elevated it to the level of a community college, completely web-based, and we kept it at community college prices. Then we have our undergraduate school and our grad school, which offers master's and doctorate of ministry.
So if you wanted to take classes on the institute level, or I don't know if you still use that term, but on the basic level of Berean, what is the cost per student?
Our courses are $95 for a web-based course. If you want the book with that, it's an additional $15 plus shipping. However, many of our students are enrolled in a study group, and study groups, whether it's at the church or the district level, the prices can be adjusted a little bit depending on the additional enhancements that group would provide.
Now, you gave me the price for the class, not for the credit hour. Is that right?
Correct. Berean does not run on college credit hours. That's $95 for the entire course. There's no additional fees or anything else with that. Most of our courses are rated as 5 continuing education units, so 5 CEUs for $95.
If I wanted to take Berean classes for college credit for an associate's degree, what is the cost for that?
Well, if you know that you want to take college credit, that you want to take a college degree, you might be better off just starting in a college course. However, at Global University, our undergrad school, and most of the Assemblies of God schools will grant 1 hour or 1 credit of transfer credit per each Berean course.
Well, that's amazing. That's a great deal. Now, do Berean students interact with professors or faculty members?
Being a correspondence school, a distance learning school, it's mostly self-paced, and the students are studying on their own at their own pace. However, many of our students are part of study groups where a group of students come together. It might be a small group in the church. It might be a larger group. There's usually a facilitator there. Students are able to interact with us mostly through email, sometimes phone call, or online messages.
So if I were a pastor of a church and I wanted to use Berean or the resources of Global University to help in my discipleship programs or to train upcoming leaders in my church, how would I do that?
Well, here's what I would say. If a pastor wants to train, whether it's lay workers, ministers in the church, or perhaps folks who are going to be seeking credentials with the Assemblies of God, like I think the pastor should think of it this way. There are three main parts of preparing someone for ministry. One of those is the spiritual formation or development of the individual. I think that's the most important part. That is not something that Berean is able to do. That is something that a pastor, a mentor, a discipler, someone who's there with the student is able to do. The second part is giving the student, the future or the learning minister, a place to do the stuff, somewhere to do the work of the ministry. Again, that is not something that we're able to do. You need a local church, a local ministry that will grant the student a pulpit, an altar, and address to visit someone, somewhere to do the practical hands-on ministry. And then the third part of developing ministers, lay workers, is the academic part. That's the part that Berean can deliver really, really well. A pastor, a church, a local ministry is able to enroll as a study group. There's no charge to do that. And we can deliver the academic part where the students can learn on their own. They can reinforce that learning with the group. And then the pastor, the discipler on site can focus on the spiritual formation of the individual, as well as giving them a place where they can do the work of the ministry.
That's amazing. So as the dean of Berean School of the Bible, can you tell me how you are developing what the school does to be able to meet the needs of the future?
Yes, we're focusing on three areas. One is the onboarding, bringing folks who are not involved in ministry, helping provide the academic education to onboard them, to get them involved in ministry. And then second, we're working on getting ministers to continue being involved in ministry. Even after they're ordained, they've got their degrees, there's still more learning, more training. We're very committed to lifelong learners. And then the third aspect, which we're just starting to look into, is in those cases where folks fall out of ministry, what is it? Is there something we can identify that was lacking in their education that perhaps we can help meet? As far as onboarding the students, is you probably know the Assemblies of God, for folks who do not get a college degree, there are 28 required courses to take to meet the academic requirements. We offer all 28 of those, of course, and we're in the process of revising every single one of those courses. We have a goal to have every course revised by General Council 2027. After that time, our courses will be on a 3 to 5 year cycle of just making sure that the examples are up to date, the language is up to date. If there's any issues that come up, making sure that those are being addressed in the corresponding course. As far as to help students maintain their learning, their lifelong learning throughout their ministry experience, there's a couple of things that we're doing. One is our internship course. The 28 courses I mentioned, 3 of those are internship that the student does. We have totally revised those to be very practically based. Our internships are based on what ministers should be able to do. The other courses are what they should know. But the last step in that internship is the student and his or her supervising minister will write out their lifelong learning plan. And that's to remind the student that you're not done learning when you get credentialed. It's a process that should be continuing. We're also developing continuing education course. It's very specific courses, standalone courses in areas such as how to reach second-generation Americans, how to do chaplaincy, how to be a better teacher in the church. We have 7 of those courses approved, and they are at various stages of production.
Amazing, amazing. So what is the demographic picture? What is the typical Berean student? What do they look like?
The typical Berean student is just about any age, any different culture, ethnicity, any situation. I talked to a recent graduate not too long ago, and this was a working mother who felt that God was calling her to ministry, but she didn't have time, working full time, raising her kids, taking care of the house. What she found, though, is that twice a week, her job required her to do an hour and a half commute each way. So that means twice a week she had 3 hours a day. And during those 6 hours is when she was able to study because, again, she had the printed option. So she was able to print, do the assignments, and then just had to take the exam online. We have folks that already have a college degree. We have one educator, graduated just a couple of years ago. She has a doctorate degree in education, specifically online education. And when she felt called to get her credential from the Assemblies of God, seeking another college degree was not for her. And so she studied with Berean and did the entire program, met the requirements for credentialing. We have another person who, because of her career in the legal field, and she was already ministering in the church, she was not in a position where she could go away to college. Berean was the right fit for her. We have individuals that are second career individual. There was one man, construction was kind of his area. And there are certain times in the construction industry where he's at, because of weather and other factors, he is not able to work. Well, the Berean courses are standing by. And when the day would come up that, hey, we can't go out on the site and do the job for today, the Berean courses were sitting there waiting for him to resume his studies. One more, we had an individual, and we noticed that this individual would do about 3-4 courses in about 6-8 weeks, and then we wouldn't hear from him for 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year. And what we found out is that this individual had a job which required him to be gone for long periods of time, but then he would be home for several weeks or a couple months. And a lot of times he did not have advance notice. Again, our asynchronous approach means that you can enroll today and you can start studying today, and you can stop if the issues of life, the requirements of life call your way. You can stop your studies, do what you need to do, and then come back and pick up right where you left off.
So, do you know, or would you have any idea, maybe an approximate number or percentage of how many of our Assemblies of God ministers, pastors, and leaders have acquired their education through Berean?
I do not. I can tell you that right now, at least 2 of the folks on our executive leadership team received their credentials in part by studying with Berean School of the Bible. I can tell you that last year, all the new to the Assemblies of God ministers, about 25% of them received their academic training through Berean School of the Bible or through Global University, which is by far more than any other school. But there are numerous pastors and missionaries who received their training. The president of Global University first started studying Berean courses for credentialing.
Well, he went on to earn a doctorate or two, yes, and well-educated man, but it's wonderful that was his origins in life and ministry.
Yes.
Now, I have a really important question for you. What is your favorite kind of coffee?
Favorite kind of coffee? Well, my wife and I just bought our Christmas gift 2 months early, and we've been making the cortado with some coffee that we brought back from Italy.
Oh, that sounds delicious. So you're going to bring some to the office, right?
No.
I thank you so much for your time, Dr. Mario. I want to thank everyone for joining us today for this conversation. If you have questions about Berean School of the Bible or Global University, you can click on the link below or go to our website, globaluniversity.edu, or call us toll free at 800-443-1083. Lord bless you.